So a few more interesting sessions. I would say this is the heart. This session and next session is what we call as the heart of the day, right? We are going to talk about solutions, right? So we have three of us here, and including me four, try to reflect our experiences on some of the crisis situations, reflect on what the speakers have talked to us in the morning. So we'll touch upon a bit about crisis and mid-career crisis, and then talk about solutions, right? And how do we take it forward? That's the objective of this session. Now, before we get in, a quick introduction of myself. My name is Safir Mohammed. I have close to 17 years of experience working in different industries, 7 to 8 different industries I have worked. And currently working as HR leader for Stanley & Decker. It's again a MNC which is making tools, And I'm also from Kerala, from Trivandrum. And so with that, I would get on. Maybe Uma, would you like to give a quick introduction because James has already done, and then maybe we'll also let Fuad introduce himself. He's been introducing everybody from morning, so let's also understand a bit about him, right?
Thank you, Safi. It's a great session out here, and I take this opportunity to thank all of you for having me here. I'm 30 years plus in the industry, and I was with GE for the last 16 years. And for the last 1.5 years, or less than 1.5 years, I've joined my husband in a consulting firm focusing on business strategy and executive coaching. So that's my journey. After 30 years of being with various kinds of corporates, doing all kinds of roles, experiencing career crisis in different forms, sometimes almost on a daily basis, enjoying the part of being on the other side and being able to offer value. Thank you.
James, you want to introduce again?
Thank you, Safir. Thank you, James. Okay, folks, I'm Fuad. I work for Thomas Cook India Limited as Associate Vice President. At the very outset, I would like to thank Safir for taking up my role as a moderator. Actually, I was supposed to be the moderator, and my sound actually gave me a break, so I said, Safir, can you please help me out with this? And he, with full heart, he said, yes, I will help you out and take it forward. So then he said, okay, you sit as a panelist now. So it's given a reverse module, or it's like a job. You call it as, now rotation of job. Anyways, thanks for it. To speak about the organization, I've been there for about 9 years. I have stuck on with my passion is what I would like to say. Tourism, traveling has been my passion, and I have done my master's in tourism administration from our own Christ College here in Bangalore. After that, I moved on with Malaysian Airlines. Then after that, I worked with Cox & Kings India Limited, and then 1 year with Sahara Global, and then after that, about 9 years now with Thomas Cook India Limited. Thank you.
Thanks, Fuad. So, what he was saying is we had a bit of a crisis before the session, right? And but we said, okay, we'll move on, right? So, we talked. If we reflect what we did, the whole from morning 10:30 till now, right? We have speakers coming and talking about the crisis and career challenges, especially people who are at 10, 15 years of experience, some of the challenges which they are going to face. And I think it was Rajiv who mentioned in the previous session that there are a lot of millennials, a huge percentage of workforce which is going to come is millennials and people who are experienced and with grey hairs. They have a lot of challenges ahead of the curve, right? So we talked about, a bit about this. Now, maybe, I would start with Uma. We've been hearing James a lot, so I will not ask a few questions to James for initial some time, and maybe we'll start with the experienced person here. So Uma, I think our topic is about solutions, right? But specifically, I would maybe like to start upon the most powerful one, right? So what do you think, does mindset is an important aspect when you look at a solution?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you think about it from a crisis perspective, what creates crisis is the mindset, right? I think one of the panelists spoke about the position of getting comfortable. The very fact that I'm becoming comfortable is a mindset issue. If I can continue to grow in myself that discomfort, that little bit of discomfort every day, how can I challenge myself? The chances are very high that I will not get into a crisis scenario unless there is an external force which comes in. But even when there is an external force which comes up, do I have to necessarily look at it as a crisis? And I'll take this example. All of us as kids have played with pencils. And most of us would like to have pencils that are full. But we end up breaking the pencil. Now as a parent, when I look at it and when my child brings up a broken pencil, how do I respond? Do I say, oh my God, how the hell can you break it? Or do I turn around and say, it's broken. But now you know what? You have two different pencils. And by the way, the broken side, I can make it sharp on both sides. So you have now three pencils with which you can write. It's a mindset, right? So how I look at the problem, and do I think it's a problem or do I look at it as an opportunity?
Yeah. So, you know, it's very interesting, right? The pencil story. So let's say somebody who is 10 years, 12 years of experience, and you know, he is going to, or she's going to, you know, walk to the office in the morning, and like James mentioned before, you know, one day he went, he doesn't have the access there. You know, when somebody walk into a scenario like that, you know, it's an extension of mindset, right? What sort of mindset, you know, the person should look at, right? You reach the office in the morning and you come to know that, hey, you know, thanks for what you have done in the last 10, 12 years. It's amazing, but maybe, you know, can you just wrap up? And thanks. You know, in that scenario, how do you actually, you know, apply this mindset solution?
Well, that's a very valid question, right? And extreme scenarios of that nature do happen. It was not common in India before, but now it does happen. Initial response for everybody would be one of shock, and given that you would go down and wonder, why me? That's a natural question that happens in everybody. Give yourself the time to say, okay, this is reality. And rather than try to focus on who caused it, if I were to take a step back and say, okay, this has happened, what next? Right? Because whatever caused it, I will have to look at it, but right now the priority is not for me to go back and say, yesterday what happened, who was the person who created this problem for me, what do I do about it now? This is a reality. So my immediate response has to be on how much time do I have and what can I make of it. It's very tough because as human beings, as normal human beings, all of us tend to get emotional at that moment. So to take a pause and say, okay, let me take a breather. Take the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. Everybody understands the context. So to excuse ourselves from that moment, be with ourselves to calm our mind down and come back and say, now how much time do I have and what can I do out of it? Right? But the key is that, morning we again spoke about it, most of us would have our intuitive sense telling us things are likely to happen. So I would advocate, I would recommend, I would request that all of us be prepared so that we never ever come to that crisis.
So I think that's a very valid point. You know, we all have to be prepared. And you know, that leads to the next question, right? You know, James, I think this is for you. And I remember when we reflect yesterday when we were discussing about today's event, and you talked a bit about the external factors which can, you know, lead to a crisis, as well as internal factors, right? And so, just picking from what Uma said, the intuition, what is required, right? It's very important for each one to get a sense of it, right? So, can you touch upon a bit the factors, you know, which could be internal, external, as well as a bit about, you know, before a situation like this happen, what should we do?
Okay, so I mean, we are not talking about performance-based issues, right? This is about external events. This is about company-wide recession happening, or there's an economic situation, or there's a tectonic shift in technology, which kind of forces a company to rethink strategy. And in that situation, we must accept one thing. If it can happen to any employee, it can happen to me. Right? It's a reality. And we must accept that. But having said that, I mean, I've seen it 4 times. Right? In fact, in one occasion, 6 times in one company itself. Okay? But and don't beat yourself. Nobody takes it lightly. When it happens, even though you know its possibility, when it happens, it is a shock. Like Uma mentioned, it is a shock, and everybody goes through it. So don't punish yourself. Say like, why am I disappointed? Why am I shocked? It happens. Okay, even if you are with 90% certainty, you know it's a possibility it could happen to me. But when that happens, it is still a shock. So, and everybody has to respect that, including family members should respect that. This is something which, even though it's a possibility, when it happens, because till it happens to you, you try to believe that I may be, it's like lottery, I may be immune to it. But it's a mathematical probability, right? So we must admit that. But and in this day and age, if you don't have a plan B, we are not prepared well, right? So if that happens to you, you should know exactly what you would do. If you have thought about it, you would have thought through all scenarios, what are the options I have, right? So that you must, and that is something which only you can blame yourself if you have not thought about what is your plan B, what is that you would do if this happens to you. And that everybody has to think through that. This is something which you have to have a personal risk assessment, right? There will be shock, but it will be less if you have a plan B. That is something which you always have to have. Then comes what I call the internal and the external, right? And in my case, the last time it happened, it's not because of an external. I kind of realized I can't do this for too long. My calling is something else. I need to do something else in my life, right? So that is the internal crisis which happens, that you can't continue doing what you're doing, and you want to do something on your own, or you want to do something else. Some other dream, could be painting or whatever you want to do. This is my passion. I want to, in fact, if you look at the questions which we had at the beginning, survey questions, are you working for your passion? Majority of people said we are not, right? If you have a choice, if you have an unconstrained option to work on your passion, what is that you would be doing? Okay? And how much time? And people are not working for their passion because they don't have the money. They don't think I will lose my salary, or I will not be able to work on it because I can't afford to do it now. When the two comes together, the external event and the internal event, and this is something I wrote for I think Open Magazine about the loyalty of an employee should always be rewarded. That is the responsibility of a company, is that if an external event happens, the rewards or the golden handshake should be proportional to the number of years you work for the company. So the loyalty you had given to the company should be rewarded. So that is what you can anticipate when that external event happens. So if you get a golden shake fund from the company, that might be the time to go for your passion. Because you are given a financial freedom for some time, right? That might be the right opportunity for you to take that plan B, or to go after your passion. So if you, A, you have to be prepared, B, you have to have a plan B to work on your passion, and if these two comes together, that is the ideal situation. You wanted to go, now you got the option to go. But that is the best case scenario.
Thank you. So, when we talk about plan B and your passion, right, and I'm sure most of us, at least the data which we had from the survey which validates that you're not, going with your passion, right? So that's giving me a flavor that, we should be ready to do multi-task, right? Or you should be multi-skilled. right? And we also have a result which is showing us that a lot of us doesn't spend time upgrading yourself, right? And so maybe towards you, Fuad, can you talk a bit about, and we can pass on that question. What's the relevance of multi-skilling or multitasking? Is it a solution? Like we talked about mindset, we talked about having a plan B and driving for passion. You think people, today you are doing in sales or marketing, does it make sense for you to do something else also to be ready in this, the world which we are living today?
See, I strongly feel that every individual has their own capacities. And those capacities have to be identified by yourself first. So, by the course of action, the way you have been running around with your career, you would have reached a situation where, yes, that's going on. But probably in that scenario itself, if you would have analyzed the factor that, yes, there could be a hit which would come back, then what else are we planning up to is something that we need to analyze first. So when you're analyzing that, when you know that my capacity is not only sales, I can do something else too. Probably organizing something else. Like I know very well you are the backbone of HR for Stanley, but I also know that because we have been closely working together to do the setup of this event, and I know how much of involvement you, Safir, had in it. So, which again, puts me into the situation where, or I'm thinking that Safir also has the capacity to organize an event well. So, if HR is not is not giving you the bucks that is needed, why not look at starting up something like your own as an event organizer? I mean, this is something else which I'm just giving out of examples. So, in my scenario, if you take, my backbone has been into sales, not just because I did my MBA in tourism or bachelor's in business management, marketing as my specialization. But yes, from the beginning, the culture inculcated into me from my parents. He's been an excellent sales guy. I've been watching him, learning from him, and it was not an easy task for him to come out. So you have seen failures of my dad, and then you gain experience out of it. And then you see how you can utilize that into your success, is what you will have to look at. But yes, definitely multitasking, or first thing what the youngest generation make a big mistake now is, because at my level when I take in more people, at the very outset they want to know what is the kind of profile of job that they do. And tomorrow you say that, boss, you need to move a bit. There's something more which you need to do more, and this will be on hold for some time. He says that this is not what I was hired for. Then he looks out for another opportunity, what comes next. And another thing is that they don't look at consistent growth. They look at faster growth on money. They want to have an experience in Thomas Cook for probably for 2 years. Now they are recognized as one of the most organized travel companies, so they know a lot of things. And then he pitches into another different segment of travel and tourism, where they're going to pay him almost 60 or 80% higher. So what happens here is that we know what is the kind of profit, or the bottom line, or the EBIT that you can get at the end of the year. And if you're going to end up with the same kind of an organization who's going to pay you more up to the level of 80% or 60%, tomorrow there could be a crash coming on, and that crash would be a very bad crash.
But if you look at a lady who is not working, but at the same time, she would have family to run, she would have kids to manage, and multiple things, right? And I would like to hear from you, Uma. And some of them actually, after a couple of years, they say, it's a tough job, right? I need to manage a husband and who has a lot of challenges with office. At the same time, I need to manage little ones. And I've taken my career, a backseat. It's not because I was not good. I decided that I want to take care of a bigger responsibility than that. And so that's also a mid-career crisis, right? Because they're in a bigger job than many of us are. So how do you, put some thoughts and pointers on this, Uma?
So for those women and men who've been balancing and providing the necessary support, and it's no joke. Right? A lot of times we do underestimate what they do, and the sensitivity that we as people who are working can show or share will go a long way. But the other side, the women can also start focusing on themselves. Right? A lot of times we are our limitations. We think that we need to do everything for somebody else. That's not the case. People are well capable of managing themselves. For kids, I can understand, but even kids, after a particular age, if we want them to grow up as responsible adults, we need to start involving them in various aspects of our home, right? Or various aspects of what we do. So be it our spouse, be it our kids, be it anybody else that we are part of as a family, we can start involving them in the day-to-day activities so that no one person starts feeling that the load is on them, right? And the other way around, if I can start involving my spouse in my decisions, it shows the value. That I'm not underestimating somebody who is at home as a person who doesn't understand the market, who doesn't understand the industry, who doesn't understand what I'm going through. But if I start involving them and saying, hey, you know what, I value what you think. I value your opinion. I value your inputs. You are observing me day in and day out. What do you think I need to do differently? I think it brings out a lot more. Other aspect I would also say is, we speak about lack of time. Right? I saw that survey which said that there is a lack of time for all of us, irrespective of what we do. That is something which we all give as an excuse to ourselves. Forget anybody else. I can go tell my husband, hey, I don't have time for you. Fine, he may even buy it. But the sad part is, I'm not trying to fool him. I'm trying to fool myself when I say I don't have time. And the longer I keep saying that, chances are very high that I will start believing in it. And at the end of the day, the person who's going to suffer is not somebody else, it's me. Because in the story that I'm telling myself I don't have time, I lose the opportunity to look back at my life, what I'm good at, where can I grow differently, what are my interests, and what can I add as value. Because as human beings, the one unique thing that we all have is the superpowers that we bring in that can create a positive impact on all of us, right, as a society. But for which we need to give ourselves the truth that I can make the time if it is a priority. So the commitment that today morning again, one of the panelists brought that point very clearly and loudly. Am I willing to commit to at least 30 minutes a day? I have 24 hours. If I can stop watching TV for 30 minutes, if I can stop playing around with my phone for 30 minutes, 30 minutes is all that it takes for me to consistently practice something. If I want to learn a new skill, if I want to reflect on what has been happening, whatever it may be, if I have to grow, I need to spend that time, and that comes from a commitment that I make to myself. So each one of you need to ask, are you willing to make that commitment? That's what I would say.
Yep. Now, there was another question, and the result was, I would say that score on that was the highest. Around 67% of people said, I have a good job, I work, I earn well, I come back, I take care of my family, and okay, I don't have much time for me, maybe I'm not doing my passion. But 67% said, I don't do anything towards give back to the society, right? So do you think it makes sense? Is it anything, to me I believe, okay, if I have a good job, I have done my skills, and I'm okay to drive my passion. Does actually society play a role? Maybe Uma and James, you guys both can add on that. Do you think society is important?
We live as a part of society, and there is no question, I cannot be happy. Happiness quotient is dependent on the people around me being happy. Any difference that I can make, I can bring about in touching people's life, anything that I can give or do, definitely increases my happiness quotient. Right? So It's a proven thing that the more you give without expecting anything in return, the more you give, the more happiness that you will get, right? And the more people around you grow, automatically, they don't need to give you anything, they don't need to call out your name, but the more you can see that there are people around you who are growing and who are happy, you...
So, James, the question is, our topic is mid-career crisis, right? Do you think it's actually a solution for mid-career crisis, giving back to society or networking? Does it make any sense?
Why do we get into a crisis? In fact, one of the surveys mentioned was, how much cash do you have? And many of them, I think 60% of them said we don't have enough cash to survive the crisis. Right? Why does it happen? It's and when I look at as we grow, as our career improves, we keep on increasing our cost of living. Right? That is how you show that you are progressing in life, right? So there's a saying that if when you don't work, what do? You spend money, right? People who have got 6-day week ends up saving more than those who have got 5-day week and more money, because you get 2 days to spend. So so you end up spending more, right? So we have to look at entire cost element of it, and you must, and this is thumb rule, you must have 6 months of cash flow if you want to be prepared for a mid-career crisis. Okay? So how can you achieve that 6 months of cash flow? Cash flow is not about money in the bank. It's about money comes in, money goes out. But what is your daily, monthly cash outflow? And as you increase your cost of living, your EMI goes up, your school fees goes up, your driver fees goes up. So you have to look at all of that. What is your net cash outflow? Okay, and now I'll come to the giving element of it. Right? Giving is also time taken away from spending money, correct? When you volunteer for giving back to society, time taken away from that mall visit. Okay, you're going to some place where you're giving it. And that is something which is in your control, right? In a time of crisis, you can cut down on that. So, and that also helps your children to feel important. I shouldn't waste money. Because there are people who are in need. Okay, if you go and this is a good way to keep a control over how you spend, your children spend, and then have that feeling which I am like, why did I want to leave Microsoft? I wanted to be a net contributor to the society, right? So that's the reason I wanted to go work for Gates Foundation. That is a larger sense of purpose for our children. Why are we studying? To be able to take care of ourselves and to take at least one more person who is not as capable as us. And if we can instill that within our children, you don't need to worry about it. Right? So that is the advantage of giving back to society, and that helps them as well and keeps them grounded. So then, there's one last comment I would mention about it in terms of finances. So there's a saying which I grew up in my childhood. My father used to say, in good times if you plant 10 trees, in bad times you can eat 10 fruits. Take that in the context of volunteering your time as well as you're investing into small startups. In good times, invest and support them, and in bad times, maybe one of them might be an opportunity.
So, Fuad, would you like to add anything on giving back to the society and connect it as a solution?
So, the more relevant way to put it across is that when you get into a fraternity where there's good level of networking happening, it is also exposing yourself. There is somebody named as Fuad there who's working in this organization, and he's been volunteering in all these aspects. So when he's in the crisis and if he's good enough or rather courageous enough to come out and say, guys, look, I'm going through this kind of a phase, and I know for sure, my the number of days in this organization is not going to be more than for 2 months or 3 months. Then there are guys who come up and say, see, this company is looking out for somebody else who can handle this kind of a portfolio. Would that interest you? So how does this come? This comes with the kind of networking which happens When somebody has felt your potential, yes, this guy can do something else like this. And that is where he would actually refer. And always when you get a reference into some kind of an entry, that actually makes your entry, or rather getting into that, much easier when compared to rather you go on an online job portal and then go for an interview. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Safir, I have a question for you. I would like to say that, can you really tell me how many top guys have you fired, and how have been their experience? Have you at least called them back once after firing the boss? How are you doing, and how is it going on in the life? It was actually reserved for my panelists, but I just have to say that I have to sit this side of it.
You know, see, I think I mean, even Pratap was saying he's a HR professional. And most of us, you know, who has been in the senior roles, like Uma and I have worked before together, you know, we come across situations where we have to let people go, right? So when you let people go, the thumb rule which most of us use is, you know, do it in a human way, right? Always I ask, you know, keep my hand in my heart and say, okay, if it happens to someone like this, like James said, you know, it can come and happen to you, right? So imagine that, you know, you're doing it for, or if you're in that situation, that's what I always, you know, put myself before I start firing anybody. Right? I would say, you know, you're going to fire someone, imagine you're going to go through the situation. If you're going to go through that situation, or someone very close to you going to go through that situation, how you would take care of that, right? So once you know, put yourself in that, I think automatically you will be able to do that humane approach. That's what I have done. And you know, for example, when we started this discussion about this event in December, the same day, you know, I have to fly down to Mumbai, and this meeting was on, I think, Thursday, you know, or you know, week after. So I was telling them how I have fired a CEO, right? I've reached Mumbai at 10:30 flight in the night because nobody told him that I'm traveling there. The global CEO for that business specific, he has come down a day before, and he had a dinner at Taj in Mumbai, and they had a very nice dinner. And next day morning, because me and the CEO, we both were staying in the same hotel, and in the morning 7 o'clock we got our plan, we had a plan. And by 9, you know, we reached the office. And he was there. He was surprised to see me. In fact, he's a good friend, you know. And, you know, that's part of your job, right? Some things when you do in your job, you need to, you know, make a balance. You can't give a heads up to the person, okay, though you're a friend, you know, you'll get fired. But yeah, I mean, we went there, we have done it in a very, very human, respectful manner, right? And we had a town hall with the team, and we said, hey, you know, he has decided to move on. He's been telling us for the last 2 months or 3 months. We didn't want to announce that, and it's business critical. And so now he decided to move. Today is his last day, and we had a farewell dinner yesterday, which I think the CEO has done it. But you know, that was a situation, right? But we did a few things, which is you know, make sure his finances are taken care in the right manner. You know, his the communication, the sensitive part. So all those things. So answering you, right? Whenever I have fired people, I have actually start thinking about it. If it's me, or if it's you know, someone very close to me, how I get fired. You know, I walked this person outside the office, and we went for a cup of tea. We had a chat. Believe me, in half an hour we had a catch up, and then we hugged each other, and then only he left. And mid-career session when I was doing, I sent him the teaser also. I said, hey, there's a session happening, and I know that. So he said, no, don't worry, I've taken a break. Now I'm having 2 weeks break, and after that I'll figure out something. So it's important to do it in that human way. And I believe Shoaib also mentioned this in the afternoon. So whenever you do your job, right, it's an element of the human approach, as well as you have to justify what you're doing in your job, right? That's what I would say. Yeah. Any more question, or can I ask question? So So, getting back out, you guys, Uma, would you like to share your experience when you have gone through this scenario?
And BFL, I was working for BFL Software, very well known at that time. BFL acquired a company, and the acquired company CEO became the joint entity's CEO. And any acquisition goes through its own hell of a turn. And I was heading products at that time, and Indian services companies were not known to be great on products. And so the new CEO, who was very well known for his eccentric behavior, but a very intelligent person. He's an ex-city banker. He came in, and the first staff meeting he had, he pointed to me and said, Uma, I'm giving you half an hour. You can decide what you want to do. I'm shutting down, I'm taking the decision to shut down products. I'm willing to invest in you. You can go out of the company and start your own company, and I will incubate you, right? And this product can continue to survive. Or you wrap it all up and you come back, and I will get you a new role. I don't want to be supporting products any longer. And we had 100 plus people who were a part of the products. Now, so this is not just about me, but it is about the entire team. And here I have been leading this products division, giving this huge yarn about how passionate we are, and that too in healthcare, and how we are adding value to the whole world, and all the story, right? And going back out of the staff meeting and telling my people, by the way, no more products, so we've got to figure out. So the initial response was, okay, I know I don't have a job, but maybe I will have a job, I don't know, but first priority is to make a decision and then figure out what's going to happen. But how come nobody told me anything? The outgoing CEO, just yesterday he reviewed this, he could have at least given me a heads up. But nobody said anything, and it was, that initial response was one of, shit, why the hell is this happening to me? Right? And then I had to talk myself into it to say, this is not about me, this is a business decision. And he's right in his own way to take that decision, so now what do I do? So then I went back and spoke to him. A lot of times what happens in a crisis like this is, we assume that we are a problem, or we assume that the other person is against us, and we start building thoughts supporting this whole process, right? The first thing to do is to cut it all out and say, okay, let's be rational about it. This is a business decision, it's not about me, it's not about the other person. What can I do? So I needed to buy more time. So I went back to my boss and told him, hey, I need a month's time at least. The decision is made, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I will continue. I don't know what job you're going to give me, but I need to make sure that every one of my 100 people will be pleased. He said, no guarantees. You figure out and we'll work through it. So the whole thing was about, I had to take a call on what to do with the team. There were a few people we had to let go because they did not have the necessary competencies from the organization's viewpoint. But we placed them elsewhere. Now that's the external crisis. Now I'll also talk about the internal crisis like the way James mentioned. I wanted to be a CIO. That was one of the aspirations that I had coming into GE, and not when I came into GE, but after being with GE for a few years, it naturally comes up because of the whole energy of GE. So I became the healthcare business CIO in 2011. And the first staff meeting that I had with my team, somebody asked me the question, what's your next move? It always happens, definition of success, right? Until the point I got to that place of being a CIO, my definition of success was becoming a CIO. It was very, very role, title aligned. The day I got that position, not even the position, the day I got the call from the CIO who gave me that role, it was done. The happiness was there for 5 minutes. After that, it wasn't there, right? Then the next question is, what is it next? Is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be? I've already achieved it, right? Now, how well I perform is a different matter. But the aspiration was changed. And when the team therefore asked me, what do you see for yourself? I said, I will be out of GE after this business. I don't want to be a part of GE any longer. Whenever I complete this role, this is what it is. I want to go and work with people. Especially I want to be working with people who need healing. Right? Somewhere along my journey, I found that my strengths, apart from technology and apart from strategy and things like that, I enjoyed working with people, helping them grow. I enjoyed working with people who had serious health issues and being able to work with them in the healing space. So I said, I want to work with terminally ill people and help them pass on. I want to work with people who have challenges about viewing themselves and help them become successful. That's what I want to be. Now, I said that, but I didn't do anything about it until I had one more personal crisis, midlife crisis, with health of people around you. And then I started thinking, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to do? But I was enjoying the business side of what I was doing. Right? What happens is when you start talking about your interest, this is an input to everybody, right? Sometimes we think we are being open and we are being transparent, we are being honest about who we are and what we are. And what you said about sharing with Ravi Venkatesh, and I've done that many times. I've spoken to my boss, I've spoken to my HR leaders, saying, hey, I don't want to continue in GE for too long. Whenever it's right, I want to move out. So then people think that, okay, you're not serious about it, okay, you're going forward. So you're going to be out sooner or later, right? So things like that happen. There was a point in time where the organization also was going through a change, huge change, and they asked me, do you want to come in and take on a role which will lead this transformation? I said, no, it's not something I want to do. I don't believe in this transformation, and I don't think I can do it. So it's very important, it was very important. One of my values is being authentic. So I said, I cannot be a part of this transformation. I don't want to be a part of this. And I know what it means. It means that I will have to exit the organization. And I'm willing to do that, right? So I had set my own targets, I had set my own goals, and I was very clear that I will not be part of something which I don't believe in, and I have other aspirations, and I've been talking about it, so it's time for me to go. And that was the decision which finally led me to move out of GE, where I was on the other side, and I said, but I am taking charge. It's not that GE is forcing me to go, but I want to go. GE is helping me go do what I really want to do. Right? So on both sides, it is about that point of knowing what you want, planning for it, and believing that you have what it takes to go after and do things in the right way.
So we should, each one of us, we should try and figure out what is that we really want to do, and we might ask ourselves, are we in the right field, right? Look at some of the things what we have done, like what some of us have done. You have two people sitting here who has taken that, the risk, or I would say, leveraged the uncertainty, right? And I can see both of them successful, right? Both Uma as well as James, right? They have taken those calls, and we know that a lot of other folks also. So understand and take that call. That would be the biggest solution, I would say. Though we talked about things like Plan B and emergency fund, networking, but few takeaways is definitely, take time for yourself. Make sure that you go for your passion as well as take it from there.